As Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Cast, one of the HCS commentators, analysts, and grassroots content creators, and we have another HCS report, where today we'll be breaking down the LVT Pro League. It's been going on for 7 weeks now, and why don't we give a bit of an update, because it's going to be really important. Only 6 teams can make it to land. There's 8 teams involved, and obviously seed is going to matter here, and plus there was some pretty interesting upsets that I feel like are worth talking about. So why don't we ultimately dive right into it, and we'll talk about each team, I guess, in order right now from top to bottom. Right now we have a 3-way tie between Shopify Rebellion, Optic, and Complexity. So we'll start right at the very top with Shopify Rebellion at 2-0. So Shopify Rebellion were able to take down both Omit and TSM, sorry. It took me a little bit there. Shopify Rebellion were able to 4-0 both Omit and TSM. As of recently, the TSM matchup happened just last week. I mean, the Shopify Rebellion, I don't think anybody was really surprised by this too much. They really are that good of a squad. I believe even during one of these weeks, maybe during one of these matchups like July 7th, they actually had Collect subbing in for Cycle, who might have been having some internet problems then, but we all know Collect. He fits in anywhere like a glove, and he is damn good at what he does. I think Collect's been flying recently. Meanwhile, not competing in the league, by the way. Cloud9 didn't ultimately qualify to make it in. Omit ended up knocking them out in that tournament. Next up is going to be Complexity. Complexity might be the actual big surprise, I would say, of the LVT Pro League, because not only did you beat both TSM and Omit, which I wouldn't say is a crazy surprise. I think a lot of people have Complexity as the favorites when going up against Omit, but maybe with TSM, a lot of people might have TSM the favorites, especially on land. What surprised me is that you 4-0'd both of them, giving you an 8-0 record. I'm not going crazy and ringing any bells if you beat Omit or TSM. What surprised me is the fact that it's saying that it's a 4-0 to both of them. I think that is absolutely huge for Complexity, currently in a 3-way tie for first place alongside Optic, who don't have a perfect record, might I say. They actually did lose a game, not to FaZe, but to Envy. Optic 4-0 FaZe, which was a bit of a surprise to me. You guys know I was really high up on this FaZe roster, especially in the beginning when they were looking even better than SSG. Right now, looking like maybe a tie, they're just going back and forward. But in the beginning, FaZe did look better than Space Station Gaming after the split, but they weren't able to take a game off of Optic. Meanwhile, Envy were able to take at least one off of them, trying to challenge them a bit, but Optic still are the best team in the league, and no surprise that they're in the conversation for first place, although out of the 3-way tie, technically, because they have a loss, unlike Shopify Rebellion and Complexity, they currently sit as the 3rd seed with that 1 loss. Next up, we got to talk about FaZe right now, who are currently 2-1. I wouldn't say anything crazy about them losing out to Optic. I think it's a big win against SSG, especially in a 4-1 fashion, and then a good 4-0 victory against Omit, literally just last night. Congratulations to FaZe. I think FaZe are fantastic. You already know I'm biased as hell, and I am rooting for them. I will say, don't want to see them getting 4-0'd by Optic Game. I'm not upset that they lost to an Optic. I wouldn't be upset if they lose to a Shopify Rebellion, just not in 4-0 fashion. They are too good to be swept by anybody in the league. Which brings us to Envy, currently sitting at 1-1. Their next matchup is going to be extremely important. You have Envy, who were able to beat out SSG in a 4-2 and lost to Optic 1-4. Beating Space Station Gaming 4-2 is absolutely huge for Envy, and I don't know if enough people are really talking about it in the league right now. I mean, you gotta look. I mean, Envy's first 2 games are harder than anybody else's in the league. Look at the schedule that they have to play. Optic into Space Station Gaming. Or I should say, actually, excuse me, Space Station Gaming into Optic. Either way, absolutely ridiculous ridiculous start coming for Envy, but they were able to answer the call by taking down Space Station Gaming, who was supposed to be top 4, top 3, some even have them as top 2 in the entire world. Well, Envy feared nobody, and I've been loving this roster ever since they even came together. They've been shocking people, and another win under their belt. Where Space Station Gaming, similar to how Complexity are a huge surprise. Well, Space Station Gaming starting off 0-2 in the league. I mean, they had a fairly tough schedule themselves, obviously running into Optic Gaming first. Hold on, I'm looking for it right now. Sorry. I'm sorry, excuse me, I apologize. Running into FaZe, I apologize. As one of their first matches, or their first match, obviously a tough matchup for them, but then right afterwards, going at Envy, and in a matchup that they probably should have been the favorites in, they weren't able to get that win. In fact, weren't even able to take it to a game 7. It was Envy that pulled off the 4-2. That leaves SSG without a single series win in the LVT Pro League. If that doesn't surprise you, I don't know what will. Space Station Gaming, they got to figure things out. And finally, TSM in big trouble, because not only are you sitting in last place 0-2 at the moment here, but it's really not good for the tiebreakers to be 0-2 and not have a single win. You got 4-0 by Complexity and the same by Shopify Rebellion. And mind you, obviously one of the other teams that are 0-2, I guess 0-3 are Omit, but I will say the other one is SSG. And SSG are not going to remain that way for long, and they also have 3 wins under their belts. So TSM obviously in trouble, and the same you could say for Omit as well. Omit did qualify by beating out Cloud9, by the way, so they were coming in as one of the last teams to qualify, but they've been fantastic, and honestly, so has Complexity here. Meanwhile, Omit, I should say Complexity have been fantastic. Meanwhile, Omit kind of hit in the drawing board a little bit. Excuse me, I apologize. Looking for their matchups here. I see, you got 4-0 by Complexity. You got 4-0 by FaZe. I won't beat you up too much. And then you also got 4-0 by Shopify Rebellion. So Shopify Rebellion and FaZe, that's a really tough matchup for Omit. I will say that Complexity matchup, not only winnable, but also I would say at a minimum, taking 2 games away from them wouldn't have been too much to ask for. Getting 4-0 is not what you want to see. And again, remember, only 6 teams are going to make it to land. So right now, TSM and Omit really are on the hot seat, with Complexity already having 2 wins with a fairly tough schedule, with Envy getting their toughest part of the schedule really out of the way and emerging 1-1. Like, you're gonna have to catch up a lot. And honestly, you might have to have SSG, FaZe, or Optic in your sights, which is crazy to think about, trying to usurp one of them with how good Complexity and Envy have worked the first half of the schedule. Luckily for them, it seems like there's plenty of time in the LVT Pro League for them to really right in the ship. And guys, that is your HCS report. We'll break some things down a little bit more going week after week as well. Just wanted to give one quick recap to kind of catch us up a little bit, and then we'll see where we go from here. Until next time, I'll catch you later.